Petitions are in and the race for 2 Watertown City Council seats underway. 7 News reporter Chad Charette tracked down all 8 candidates and learned what they believe sets them apart from the others.
A crowded field for Watertown City Council. 8 candidates running for 2 seats currently held by Lisa Ruggiero and Cliff Olney. On the topic of re-election, Olney believes his record speaks for itself.
Well, you need somebody with imagination and the willing to stand up and fight for what's right in the city, and I've proven that I've been that person through this last 3.5 years.
Ruggiero points to her experience as a reason for re-election, citing her position on the council since 2017.
I think that they should look at who is the most knowledgeable, who has the most experience, and can do the job without having to go through a learning curve.
That leaves 6 other people. Some are new faces. 34-year-old Colin Burns believes his age gives him a unique perspective, given he's around the median age in Watertown.
We need to make sure that we keep our taxes in check, because if taxes continue to go up, how many young people are going to be able to stay in the city? And with that as well, how many elderly people will be able to remain in the city that are on a fixed income?
Pete Monaco comes with 30 years experience running the city's DPW department.
I hit the ground running. I'm not going to have the learning curve that non-incumbents, and maybe I've got more knowledge of the city than some of the incumbents.
Running again, Doug Osborne. He points to his education at UAlbany.
All of my work experiences, my education, everything has been tailored ultimately to come back to this area and contribute in some sort of way.
Also running again, Robert Shore, who says his background working at a family business sets him apart.
Just my vast experience with meeting of all people of all walks of life, and sharing experiences and sharing knowledge of the city in its past and present.
Newcomer Shane Garabrandt was a member of the city's Hydro Committee. That contract with National Grid comes due in 5 years.
I think I could really spearhead that initiative moving forward. I'm an electrical engineer, so while I might not have all the answers for the issue and might not be able to solve the issue myself, I'll be able to, speak the language.
Newcomer Anthony Velasquez is a teacher in the city, and he thinks a fresh face is what council needs.
I feel that, we're ripe for some change. We need to get some new faces onto City Council, some folks who have an eye toward the future.
Come late June, this pool of candidates will be cut in half in a primary election, where voters will have to decide who moves on to the November general election. Chad Charette, 7 News.